And we are live.
G'day. Special guest, my dog Ralph, joining us in the background playing his favourite blue bones. So if you hear growls, that's not me. That is my. I'm sure you can hear him in the background. Hope you're all doing well. Melbourne, Victoria, guys. Kudos on another 12 days of donuts. We've done very well for ourselves. So everything's back open wherever you are in the world. Hope you're staying safe and staying well. For everything that Ads and I do here at UTG, hit subscribe, like, share, all that stuff on the socials. And if you want to get a hold of any of the indicators that we trade with, being Steamroller, Unicon, all the ones that we feature in our sessions, unitytradinggroup.com. There's also a ton of free guides and videos and just loads of free resources. The indicators is one very small part of UTG. So get over and have a look. All right, some good moves, not just on BTC today, but the last couple of days since our Tuesday night session. We've had a few good trades go our way. Ads on a couple of USD pairs, one being one of them, and a couple ONT. We'll get into a couple of those in a minute. But Ads, BTC, what's going on with BTC?
BTC. I'm just reading the comment and everyone's saying Ty's a bit quiet. So I think.
Bit quiet. Well, that's probably a good thing, right?
Let me see why. Before we start, let me see why.
Let me have a squism. Oh, here we go. I think I found the issue. There we go. That might be a bit better.
How's that? Is that better? It's better for me.
Ooh. All right, let's get into it regardless. BTC, what's going on with BTC, Ads? Where are we at?
BTC, we have, with this level of supply that we've got right here, we have eaten away at most of this now and pretty much just tipped our head through the top of this level. It was drawn on a 1 hour time frame, so of course it's not going to be that strong, to be completely honest with you guys. And in the way of this supply, it's looking more and more like this formation is forming. If we can just highlight that sort of formation there, it's very rough, so don't judge me on that. But in the way of this formation, usually in this sort of direction, this sort of formation does play to the upside. So it is usually a continuation pattern where we bounce, get squeezed into a corner and bang straight up. And of course we have our upside sort of target, if we should call it that. And we do have that already pre-drawn in, which would be our forward at 16,400. So not very far away, to be completely honest with you. It's only about $400 in the grand scheme of things for BTC, $400 isn't a great deal. At this point, we're looking at probably 8%, 7% move from here to about 16,400. And this level is massive, it's huge. And I've drawn that in for a reason, because if we go back down to the daily time frame and just scroll back a little bit, this is the area that I've really looked for, and it's very skewed. The only problem with this area is it's a big pivot, okay, so it is relevant, but it's gonna move the entire way across. So what we can do to give us a better level, and for those of you watching using supply and demand, let's try and make this a better level in terms of size as I scroll across to the left hand side there. So we've got this level here, and obviously we can make this better. So we'll drag it up a little bit, make it a bit smaller, and that'll be our pivot point. So we'll go across to where we are now. And there it is there. So you're looking at 16,750, a 4-hour level of supply that's just above us. Correlates quite well with that negative 27 fib extension there. And if we do play out this formation over the course of, this evening, or, the rest of this week being Friday and into the weekend, if we do play out this formation, which usually does end up in a continuation pattern, usually goes to the upside, 16,750 or even 16,700 will more than likely be that area that we'll look at for the next movement up to the upside potential of BTC tie.
Yeah, and one thing that we were talking about this in the Discord today, one thing to be very cautious of, and what I'm seeing across the socials, is a lot of people looking at that 16 in the more immediate term, looking at 16.4 as a significant level to short. One thing to be cautious of, I think, is, and we haven't used the term for a little while, is that area being front run. So I'm looking between sort of 16,250 up to that 16.4 level to potentially be out of any position should we break this supply. It'll be a short-term trade. And similarly with F as well, I think for myself, one thing that someone said inside the Discord today was that, I was so disappointed that I wasn't able to get on this latest BTC run because I sold out at 13K or 14K or whatever it was. We'll get into F in just a moment, but just on BTC, when opportunities aren't presenting themselves on BTC, remember there's a whole other market you can trade, whether it be BTC pairs, you're shorting an asset, Forex, for example, the USD pairs that we'll look at in a short time as well. So don't be disgruntled if you are missing moves on BTC or F for that matter. But yeah, for myself, ads, 16,250 up to 16.4. I'm going to start being cautious only because of what I'm seeing so many people on the socials say that they're looking at this as like an optimal shorting zone. So there still very much is the potential to have a blow off top, head up to that 16 sort of 8 level, liquidate all those shorts, and then maybe we go for the real move back to the downside. Because looking at the 4 hour, yes, our steamroller is starting to look a little bit topped. RSI and CCI are pointing down a little bit, but at the same time, looking at our RSI and even indeed our steamroller, there's still room to move to the upside. So yeah, I think this is going to be an important level for us, and I'm going to be watching this very shortly. And as you said, and again, as I'm seeing a few people sort of say, this formation is typically will break to the upside. Yeah. So I guess there's a lot of eyes on this and a lot of eyes on this at the moment. So I think this is definitely going to be one to watch in the next 24 to 48 hours for sure. Absolutely, it will be. And I really do think the momentum's been good. Every sort of reaction we've had to the downside has been met with a few buyers. So it's been okay. And I've been saying this for quite some time that the momentum is quite nice over the last little bit. We've been looking towards the upside, okay, in the way of supplies go. Every supply that we come up against, we eat not straight away, but we do end up eating it most of the time. And this has been no difference in the way of this very short-term level here that we've formed on the 1 hour time frame. So if we can get some more volume into this over the course of the rest of this week and into the weekend, this formation could play out to the upside. More than likely will play out to the upside around this 16.7 area. And it might be an idea to look for that level above us for BTC to retest. If we're looking on the daily time frame as well, we're still overbought. If we're looking on the 4 hour, we're becoming overbought now. So there is still an inkling in the TA that's saying that we could still break to the downside. However, we're taking all of this information in mind that we've been quite overbought for quite some time now. We have to take that into consideration. Where is this market even taking into
that overbought territory into account. Excuse me, I can't even talk. So you got to take that all in. Should you be putting weight on a lot of these moving oscillator indicators, as much weight as you usually would, because we are still running to the upside and we're quite bullish towards the upside and the momentum has been good. If we put on something as simple as Unicorn to give us a decent overview of the upside momentum even in a 10 and 20 moving average scenario, you can still see we're still ranging up, and we've even got that super trend entry there just on the previous candle. So you can mix it up. You can change some of your indicators, change some of your bias, even employ like a decent simple moving average strategy to really gauge whether you or not you should be in a long or buying spot or selling BTC, because obviously some of these indicators that we've been looking at as of late, and of course we've been saying this as of late also, that these indicators are becoming less and less relevant in this instance, more referring to stuff like CCI, unfortunately steamroller if we're looking at the macro scale of things. And I'm not embarrassed at all to say that, but we've been running to the upside for quite some time. These indicators are going to give you false signals or false hope for downwards movement, because BTC is being bought on this massive FOMO run, unfortunately, and a lot of the TA says we should be going down, but we need to have a little bit of an upside bias for this sort of thing as of late, Ty.
Yep, totally agree. All right, do we want to have a look at the BTC dominance charts?
BTC dominance coming up. So the dominance chart's been something that we've been looking at for quite some time, and I've been really emphasizing this to some people behind the scenes as well, in the way that we're looking at this level of supply now. We have had this tweezer top here, and we haven't really made any grounds either side of the price action that we've had since that tweezer top. So it's going to be interesting to see if we move to the upside, and if we do get that movement from this level on BTC to that 16,700, 16,750 supply that we pointed out just a moment ago, we'll probably expect the retest, and that was terrible, the retest of this level of supply for the dominance chart, and BTC will reclaim that market cap that it did lose to the alts over the last probably 6 or 7 days or so. And that's something to look for as well. So as BTC price goes up, we all know that it will drag the value out of the alts. So anything that's paired against BTC technically should be decreasing in value, and this will obviously in turn increase in market cap as the market cap flows out of the alts and back into BTC. So if we start to observe that supply on BTC is starting to fall and we're starting to move to the upside, then this will move with it, and those alts will come down. So that's something to think about if you're trading alts at the moment, Ty.
Totally. Particularly those BTC pairs is more so the ones that we refer to, not so much the USD pairs, even though they can be quite affected. But I find at times like this, I'm gravitating more towards the USD pairs than what I am the alt pairs, whether I'll be longing or shorting. They seem to be a little bit more respective of the TA and not hit as hard by BTC during subsequent dumps or pumps. So let's get on to my favorite BTC USD pair being F. Let's have a look at the ETH-USD pair and see what it's doing. And then we'll have a look also at the BTC pair and see what some strength that we might find in any alts, if at all.
So ETH-USD was something that we looked at last night. I did do quite a short and sharp update last night for our Wednesday night daily update. And we did take a look at the ETH level of supply that we were heading towards pending the break of this downtrend here. And we have moved quite nicely towards that level of supply at 473. That's where the supply started. The high actually was 476. So $3 off the mark. I'll take that. But at the moment, if we're looking at the 4-hour chart, we have been quite nicely respected on this level of supply, as that we have seen steamroller be a little bit more accurate on ETH USD as opposed to BTC USD. So taking a little bit more bias towards this steamroller, just touch on our overbought signal there. If we do have some movement on BTC, and if it's violent towards the upside and looking at that 16,750, of course, we could probably expect the same sort of run up with ETH, although not as much volume flows into Ethereum as BTC for obvious reasons there. But if we do see that upwards momentum, we could probably see this 480 mark here towards the middle of the supply zone. But if we're taking in just the account of the TA for ETH, it does look like it's been rejected off this level of supply, and we could be testing some of the waters down below where we came from. So if we're, sorry, whoops, wrong one. What am I doing? There we go. The very short-term level of demand that I've found on the 4-hour time frame, there is two. They're quite close together, but ETH hasn't been moving with great violence as BTC has of late. So if we do see the TA play out for Ethereum, as we've been rejected on the supply, I'd be looking towards that level of demand, which is only about 450, so only about $10, $15 away from where we are. I'd like to get your thoughts on this, though. What do you think it's going to do from here, bro?
I'll admit I'm pretty bullish on ETH, at least mid-term. I can't help but feel similar to what I felt on ETH previously when BTC was in this sort of landscape. But one thing that could also be said for ETH is that we are forming similarly to BTC, this sort of formation as well. So it's not as respected in the sense that we have this sort of more constant formation, I guess a little bit more sort of respected formation as BTC is seeing. But I think there's an argument for that as well. But as we said on Tuesday or perhaps Wednesday or whatever it was, that 470 is really sort of the battle zone for ETH in terms of breaking above at the moment, and that supply zone that you've got up there. So I'm not making any moves on ETH at the moment. I think I was out at 445 after getting in at 410. I've not re-entered as of yet. I was a little bit scared by this and obviously this as well. But yeah, I'm happy to be patient at this point and just to sort of sit back, let the trade come to me. I've got more buys laid down towards that 450 mark and that bottom demand zone on the off chance that we do break that, because a few oscillators, being steamroller for one, is looking a little bit oversold. Overbought at the moment. Overbought at the minute. So I'm cautious. I'm very cautious on ETH at the moment. But as I was saying today inside the Discord, my focus is a little bit more on ETH in the last couple of days rather than BTC. So yeah, I'm happy to sit back and be patient and wait for the trade to come to me, as we say.
Yeah, look, I'm not discounting any bullish momentum for Ethereum, above 470 to 480, because that's where I think it might end up. However, looking at, like you said, looking at the steamroller indicator there, and looking at the history just on this pair of its track record, that's not something you should probably ignore. So that 450, I think that's a good move by you, bro.
Yeah, and one thing to also be cautious of is if we go back quite a fair bit of time, back to 2018, when we were at this sort of 473 level. There was a pretty significant, it was on the 30th of July 2018. So it's not like it's the markets don't repeat, but they often do rhyme. So it's important to be cautious of these sorts of dumps and these moves that we see around these sorts of levels. So yeah, I'm quietly cautious, but quietly optimistic on ETH at the moment. Yeah,
look, there's for and against. However, I think you'd probably be more inclined to be looking at this area here, because we are already on this upwards momentum for Ethereum, and we're retesting this level on an upwards momentum rather than a downwards momentum. So it would probably, look, it could go either way. There is for and against, of course, like you said, and that 480 is looking okay for Ethereum in the midterm, I think.
All right, let's have a look at Old Faithful XRP.
Ooh, Old Faithful for who?
You.
XRP, not if we're looking at a daily time frame, we're not seeing too much action, to be honest with you. It has been, in between two levels, which is 26 and 22 really. But if we're looking on the 4-hour time frame, we have had a little bit of action off this level of supply. As I said the other day, we did push through it with with quite confidence, to be honest. But we did have a nice reaction from there. But since then, we haven't really made any higher highs. We haven't made any structure to the upside. We've been respecting this level of demand down below. And it would indicate to me that this and this, if we don't make any movements probably tonight into the weekend, then more than likely we'll see that 24 cent mark, again. I think that would be the most logical play for XRP USD, in my opinion. If it does follow BTC and Ethereum, if we do get that momentum to the upside, we could, of course, push back to this level of supply. It is quite cleared out, however, not quite, because we've had some reaction off that as of late, ignoring those wicks, of course. But if we do move up, I think this level is going to be pretty difficult one. So 26,179, and of course, if we do move to the downside, which more than likely will occur on XRP, as you know, this TA or this market structure does suggest, I think 24,732 will be the area that we'll test before we move back up to the upside time on XRP.
Very good. All right, there's a couple of USD pairs that I'd like you to have a look at. One of them being one USD. It's in the USD hit list channel that we've got on the USDT bangers, rather.
USDT bangers.
Right down the bottom there, one. A little bit of a pullback, but we did 18% since Tuesday. We spoke about it. With the fact that there is a lot of positive fundamental news coming up. Of course, in this climate, there is arguments for and against. Well, we're not at the point where fundamental news is having as much of an impact. Yes, that's very valid. However, there's a lot of fundamental news. There's also quite a fair bit of fundamental news around Coty at the moment. We won't get into that one, but if you want to go to the Discord, Blue Hurricane, Fergs, you guys are posting quite a fair bit in the fundamentals channel, and that's what alerted me to one, and I felt like there was enough juice there to get the rockets going, and that was I did just shy of 18% on that one. So we've hit that 50 fib, and Art, if you're watching, I think that was bang on your supply zone as well this morning that you had listed. So I hope you were in that trade, mate, and took some profits on that one.
So drawing a supply zone really on this market structure here is very difficult. And it's going to be really a stab in the dark. And if you get it right, fantastic. And you'd probably be using your Fibonacci to really identify the levels and see where they are. For example, you've got the 61.8, and of course you've got that pause in the market there that lines up quite nicely. So using 2 and 2 equals 4 there. So very good. But I'd probably be just concerning myself with the Fibonacci levels. We're quite overbought now, and that would fall in line with BTC about to have its run to the upside, and of course the BTC dominance chart about to reclaim some of its dominance back up to that supply that we spoke about just earlier in the video. So it does make sense for this one trade to come down a little bit, just to give us a little bit of relief, as the oscillators are a little bit more reliable on this asset at the moment. And I would probably suggest 28.74 or 28 cents for one would probably be the next area that I'd be looking at. And of course, that lines up quite nicely with a lot of liquidity to the left, where we've got some of these wicks being respected as resistance, and of course some support being respected just in September earlier this year, Ty. So I think that's probably going to be on the cards for one. It would probably be my best guess in the way of market structure before we see that 61.8 be retested or be tested at all.
Yeah, I'm of the same mind frame. I'm looking to see if we can hold 30 cents. I'm still probably going to be a buyer down to that demand zone at the 28 level. One thing that really is interesting me about one at the moment is that if we do go to the daily time frame and put on our EMA fan, and we can put on Unicorn if you want for that EMA cross to sort of give us the give us the signal there. That's what really interested me about WAN USDT, along with the fundamentals, is that we're now sitting above this MA cluster. And if we look at a lot of the breakouts that we've had on a number of USD pairs, I guess we can use BTC in this example. Yes, it's the lead coin, but there's no ignoring sort of what our MAs are showing us. We're now sitting above that MA cluster. A lot of the MAs are starting to now sort of consolidate and tighten up like a Bollinger Band. And when we have good price action above those MAs, yes, we can often retest those 50 or 100 MAs, the 200 sort of being the last line of defense. But when we're seeing things clustered like this, I think paired with a good bit of fundamental news, yes, our RSI and CCI getting towards those top levels, but I think in this sort of environment, that's something to heed caution in, but not to always pay full attention to. And Steamroller was an absolute gun at that sort of level. So I really want to see what happens around here. If we can hold this level over the next few days, if 28 cents gets cut, then I'll sort of start paying a little bit less attention as we get towards that 26-cent zone. But I think if we hold above that, that could even be quite a nice zone to trade. For the meantime, if we can get a confident close and break above that 32-cent zone, then I think it could potentially be on for WAN.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, that 4-hour level of demand that I identified alongside with 28 cents, that would be relevant on that time frame. And of course, looking on a higher time frame side of things, that would be your entry on a smaller time frame, I guess. And then looking for that further movement to the upside that Ty did mention on a daily. So looking good overall for WAN.
Yeah, and we won't get into it, but I'm still looking at a few other pairs at the moment. One being one ONT Link, and that's pretty much where most of my trade efforts have gone at the moment. So let's get into the Forex markets. Of course, anything that we share in the Forex markets are purely just opinion. They are not factual or advice in any means. Speak to your financial advisor if you want more information.
So yesterday, I can't really recall what we said yesterday. However, we were looking at some more further movements to the upside for the DXY in any case in general over the last little bit. And that's what we've seen over the last couple of days and the last couple of trading sessions that we've seen, and we're going into the end of the week now, so we are looking for these movements to finalize themselves, and I'm still looking for this sort of play. So looking for the 61.8 to be respected and then up towards our 93.40 area, and we have been moving quite nicely towards that level. The reason why, we've had this lower low and then we've made a higher high, lower high, higher high, and now we could be making that lower high back at 61.8 for a further movement to the upside and completing, I guess, that sort of movement, that sort of trade cycle, that market cycle on this 4-hour time frame, and that would of course bring our steamroller back up to this overbought level, and we'll make a decision on the higher time frames, of course, over the next week or so, I guess, for the DXY. So looking towards that 93.4, and of course we're going to have a look at the All Lords and the SPX 500 to finish us off. So we have been making new grounds above the level of supply that we've been speaking about for quite some time now, and it has just about gotten to our 61.8 Fibonacci extension. So very interesting price action for this market, because of course, as we all know, as we've spoken about in the past, we are in a recession environment in terms of the global financial situation, and it's very interesting to see this movement to the upside. And this was initially a bounce from the 61.8 and looking towards to retest that 6400 area where we've got this rejection here from our supply. The movement through this level of supply was more or less caused by the flurry or influx of money into the stock market via that vaccine news. So whether or not it's a buy the rumor, sell the news type event, we shall see. But we need to keep close attention on how the market structure does play out, and if we're going to get a retest, of the top of this level of supply, and if that's going to hold. So we could have that 61 retest, come back, retest this area at the top of our supply. And of course, if we have the momentum and the volume coming into this market, we could push back to the upside. And of course, if you look left, there ain't a lot holding it up. So we've got this high at the top here at 7,250, and between there and that level of demand or supply that we had drawn in, of course, just here, there isn't a whole lot of structure holding us up if we're going to retest the top or give us that full retracement type event back up to 7,200 points for the All Ords. So a very interesting time for this market, and of course that translates very much over onto the S&P 500 as well, where we've just made ways through the top level of daily supply there. We've made some movements, and we've just touched the top of the level. And of course, previously we did make a lot of action and volume towards or through the top of that level as well. Whether or not, like I said yesterday, like I said Tuesday night, whether or not this is a blow off top, this big quick blow off top theory that I see time and time again on the trading and on YouTube and stuff like that, whether or not that event or that scenario plays out remains to be seen. But I'd like to see the SPX move up, close above in terms of candle structure, to see if we're going to retest this one, or see if we're going to test, this 127 fib extension for the S&P. So looking closely at the All Ordinaries and looking closely at the S&P or the SPX 500 USD over the course of the rest of the week, but more than likely we'll have our answer towards the middle to late next week, as these markets do move quite slowly and it takes a lot of money to do that. But looking okay for a lot of these indexes, especially the All Ordinaries. So we'll see how that plays out, and we'll see if those scenarios like that retest of demand and that hold of the demand on the All Ords plays out. And of course that should translate over to the S&P 500 index as well, Ty. But yeah, that really concludes the regulated update for this evening.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Thanks for joining us. Any questions, things you want charted, questions you may want to ask of anyone inside the Discord community, unitytradinggroup.com, and be sure to hit that subscribe button to get all the updates as we do on the daily, thanks to ads, and Tuesday and Thursday nights with myself and ads as well. So thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
Catch us then. Bye-bye.